Welcome to RhapsodyCast, episode 10. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Nate.
And then that silence is where Travis should be, because he should have shown up, but he didn't.
No. Travis.
Texted Travis. Apparently his story is both not finished and in another city than he is in right now. This is the only time that all three of us could record. And, I got a lot of love for Travis and his stories. Or at least I did. And then this happened, No, I'm not gonna be all lame. It sucks. Maybe we'll bring him on to have his story out there, because I want to hear it. I like his stories. But I guess it's not gonna happen this episode. So, Nate's back though.
I'm back. It's me.
Woo!
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Oh.
So I'm glad to have him back. I don't need to make everyone aware, but we're doing every other week now instead of every week to make up for Nate and I's schedules, which are quite busy. It's hard to pump out a whole story every week and then also record it and edit it.
Right.
So we're not going to do it. We're just going to give up. No, we're going to do it every other week, which should hopefully increase the length of the stories or at least make them a little bit better. Or we'll just crank it out in a few days and then be lazy for a week. Either way, it sounds fun.
Yeah.
So, Nate, what cool things did you do in your month off?
I watched Dogs for a long time. I quit a job.
Of 8 years. Job you had for 8 years.
Yeah. But it's cool. It's time to go. I played a video game for an hour.
Nice. What game?
A game called Barbarian.
Oh, yeah. That sounds fantasy as shit.
It's pretty cool. I don't know. I liked it for the hour I played it, but I want to keep playing it because it's like a tower defense game where you play as a barbarian, but you don't fight. You play a guitar and you call other characters to fight for you.
What system?
It's on PC.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a mobile game to start with, actually, because it has like mobile trappings all over it.
Why didn't you tell me when I was like, hey, I'm looking for a good mobile game? You should have been like, Barbarian, dude.
Oh, because I didn't think about it. I was like, well, why would you get it on mobile when you could just get it on Steam?
Because I don't have Steam I do have Steam on my phone, but like, I need to be able to play it when I'm sitting in the passenger seat of someone's car, like Angry Birds. But instead of Angry Birds, it's good.
What's weird is how hasn't Steam gotten into mobile gaming? Like, you have the Steam app, but you can't play games from it. Like, they don't do mobile gaming, right?
I don't think so, but maybe? It's actually... Barbarian is $5 on Steam and free on the App Store, if it's the same one.
Well, shit.
Treeformer?
Free... What?
It's probably Treeformer Games? Or no, Tree Fortress game.
That sounds familiar, kind of. I think,
It's probably free with ads.
Yeah. And I got it, like, on Steam for super cheap because it was during the Steam sale, so I probably got it for, like, 60% off or something.
Oh, so you bought it, like, a month ago.
Yeah.
Although I guess it was within the month, which is what I said. But... Continuity! So that's cool. Anything else? Any cool other things?
I've been, we did the Warrior Dash.
Oh yeah, the Warrior Dash, which sounds pretty fantasy.
Less fantasy, more hurt.
Sometimes fantasy hurts.
Extra pain.
I think that was a song. Fantasy hurts.
I don't think that's a song.
Maybe it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warrior Dash is like a 5K. It's an obstacle course. It's pretty hardcore.
It was.
And we were all sore and bruised afterwards.
Yep, I still got scrapes on my legs.
I still have a bruise, actually.
Yeah, I got a bruise on my arm still.
Which is like, I don't know when the last time I had a bruise that lasted over a week, but it's a little upsetting. That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
You're not hardcore unless you live hardcore.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like we'll do it again next year, and we'll probably do better.
Good. Yeah. Well, I mean, I did okay. I made it.
Yeah, surviving it is the first challenge of the first
Right.
run, I think. I think now that we've survived it once, we can
Yeah.
focus on doing it better next time.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's it. Like I really didn't have time during my weeks. We recorded GRC and Wars for Pirates and
Oh yeah, the Pirates and Ninjas GCR and Wars.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Nate and I also do a podcast on the Geekcast Radio Network called M-Wire Weekly, and as a part of the Geekcast Radio Network, we were asked by another member to record their Wars podcast where they pit two geek topics against each other, and we were both brought in for the Pirates versus Ninjas, which was fun because I got to mention the show, though I didn't get to plug it, I don't think. But I got to mention it because I had done a lot of research on pirates for the pirate episode we had just a month and a half ago. And so I got to bring that knowledge in, which was fun. Ultimately, the category came down to a tie, which is now going to vote. So, I mean, if you want to search for, if you just search for Geekcast Radio Network, I'm sure it'll be the first one, GCR and Wars with a Z.
Because it's cooler that way.
We're not the most recent episode because we recorded a week and a half ago. Yeah, a week and a half ago. The most recent episode I was on, but Nate wasn't, which is Star Trek, the original series versus the Next Generation. I think I just ruined the ending of our episode, technically. That sucks. But the reason I bring it up is because, one, you can hear it, and it's interesting. It's incredibly interesting. Even though I had been a part of the recording, I was still interested to re-listen to it. Also, we need votes, because since we tied it up, we need votes to decide who wins between ninjas and pirates. So go listen to the podcast and then vote so that you can be informed.
Yeah.
It was fun, so that was something we did. Cool. So I guess second question, since you're back, we're going to talk a little bit more, right? What did you bring in to this story? Like, what either inspired you, or what did you think was cool and wanted to add to your story?
Well, I got my prompt were summoning rituals and Birdman.
Birdman.
And so I went like, I don't know. I just thought of something that I thought would be funny, and then I did it. It's hard to explain. Nothing inspired me. I just went with it.
Okay, that's cool.
This was one of the most, like, from the cuff. I don't even know. Like, I didn't plan anything. I just started writing, and then I don't know. I do that. I feel like I've been explaining how I do that a lot because I feel like I do that a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because I just write. A lot of times I won't like get like an outline. I'll just start writing, and then this will happen, and then this will happen because that happened, so that'll happen.
That's really hard for me. I feel like I need to be calculated and know all of the major points before I know every major point of the story before I start with writing the first line.
Oh wow! No, I don't care enough.
Which is probably why I haven't written a novel, is that it's like there's too many major points to have planned out that by the time I get to the last one and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready, it's like, oh shoot, what were the first 200 pages about?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should just start writing and then, you write, 500 pages or however many pages you want. And then you look at it and go, okay, what do I need to change to make it all fit properly?
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
How can I, like it's kind of like in art. A lot of times in a drawing, you start off all kind of poorly. Like you do it to just get the basic shapes in there.
Yeah.
And then you go back for all the detail and making everything fit properly.
Interesting.
Or at least that's how I was taught to draw.
Well, you did go to professional draw school.
I did go to professional draw school.
Because you went to Art University.
Art University, USA.
Located at 123 Art Street.
Right.
Nice. The only thing I can really think of where I actually did that, where I sat down and just started writing, and and I know for a fact that was what I did, was one poem I wrote in a creative writing class, which I don't even remember what I titled it. But what the professor did in the class was he read this poem and he's like, isn't what do you guys think about that? It's very crazy and awkward. And he's like, yeah, it was written by a was it a fifth grade class or 5-year-olds? I can't remember which. I think it was a fifth grade class. And what the teacher did was like gave a prompt of some sort and then had each person write a line without knowing what was going on and then just assembled it into a poem.
I like it.
And he was just like, now you try to recreate that concept of having, a disjointed poem just with random connections. And I wrote this poem about money, and it was like full of puns and shit. Like it's like I walk down to the river bank and then I pull out my asparagus paper. And it was like, what the fuck is going on?
Asparagus paper?
Yeah, and then like the teacher actually really liked asparagus paper because he's like that's like a great color. Like that's like the exact color of money is asparagus.
Oh,
okay. It's not quite wintergreen. It's not quite this, but asparagus, like that's what I think of.
I thought you meant it was paper made out of asparagus.
No. But I mean, that's the thing about that's the thing that's great about similes, right? They're like metaphor without like or as. And so you say this thing is this other thing when it's really just similar in some way. And that makes it a whole different meaning in everyone's head.
Okay.
I actually specifically did that towards the end of my story, where I was going to say something was X like, and I just removed the like from it, and I was like, oh yeah, I like that sentence more.
All right.
That's the thing I do, guys. I'm weird.
It's all good.
All right, so I guess with that, we should get into these stories of fantasy.
Let's do it. My prompts were from, I think Travis gave me the prompt of summoning rituals.
That was the shared prompt. We did a shared prompt that Travis gave because it was going to be his last episode.
Right.
And then we did a rock, paper, scissors style unique prompt where each person did the person to their left, essentially, in this imaginary table. And
then my unique prompt was Birdman or Man.
Birdman for me.
Birdman.
Which is interesting, actually. I don't want to interrupt you too much, but since Nate wasn't there for me to say Birdman to him verbally, I had to text it to him. And so I just Googled Birdman, thinking, I'll get a picture of Birdman, the 1960s cartoon, or Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, the remake, or whatever, of the same cartoon, or possibly the new Birdman movie with Edward Norton and the other famous guy.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, whatever.
Kevin Spacey, I think.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. We do MWire Weekly, which is a movie podcast, and we're terrible at movies. But, so, I figured I'd get one of those three things. But what I found out is that there's a basketball Jones named Birdman.
Got a basketball Jones.
Did you know that song was like Cheech and Chong?
What?
Like, according to my satellite radio, Cheech and Chong did Basketball Jones.
Oh.
Because I've favorited Cheech and Chong, and every time it pops up, I was like, is that a thing? I don't know if I've ever heard that song all the way through.
I've only heard it on Space Jam.
Okay. Interesting. So the Basketball Jones named, I don't even know what that means. That could totally be a derogatory term. There's a guy named Birdman. He plays for various basketball teams. He's got a lot of tattoos and a mohawk. Also, there's a rapper named Birdman.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
Yep.
So I would just send pictures of Nate send pictures to Nate of Birdman saying Birdman.
Birdman!
And I know I did, the first one I did was actually a statue that Amy's mom has here in the house. And then another one was Harvey Birdman, attorney at law, and then another one was Birdman, the bouncy ball guy. I never got around to getting all of the Birdmans out there, but I had fun doing it. So that's just a free story for your ear holes.
And I think you said that to me on my one of my busier days at work, and I was just like, "That's hilarious! I got to do work."
Yeah, I think that was why I kept sending them, was that you weren't responding.
Yeah,
which just made it better for me.
Okay.
But the thing is that I was also at work where I really don't have time to do that. But it would be like I'd be on break and I'd just like search Birdman into the thing and then like save a picture, and then break would be over, and then I'd be like, "Oh, there's a 30-second lull. Let's get this sent." It's terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so your Birdman summoning ritual story is entitled
Dimensions Are Us.
Okay.
I don't know why I did that. My story's dumb.
Usually, and that's what makes them fun.
Alright. Orca the elf was the most fairest elf of all. All the dude elves wanted to get all up ons. But she was saving her elfie selfie for the right god.
Oh, man. Did you say God?
God, yeah.
Okay.
She prayed to the god of destruction, Grigmux, and totally wanted his big old corn donger.
Corn donger!
Oh, man, I love inside jokes that no one gets.
Unexplained, continue.
Tonight is the night, she thought giddily. I'm all set to summon Grigmux and have a huge wedding, and everyone will be totally jelly. She wrapped 2 living Woolgons in a figure-8 formation, one eating the other's tail, representing infinity or something. She lit a couple candles and had a full orchestra behind her play a sexy symphony. After drawing evil type symbols on the ground, she started her prayer. Come out, wherever you are. I totally want to do you really hard. I've got secret elvish techniques. You don't even know. Wink.
Nice.
With that, the
wink.
Yeah. With that, the Woolgons began to jerk around as if they were having seizures. Hey, Gruffy, one of the Woolgons said, how did we end up here? I don't know, Grubbish, but this is quite a pickle we found ourselves in. Shut up, you two, you'll ruin the ceremony.
I didn't know that Woolgons could talk.
These can.
Interesting.
Now come forth, my sexy dude. The Woolgons started spinning around and then joined claws and suddenly stopped in midair. Their wings fanned out and they froze in place. The space between them started to glow and swirl. A portal grew outwards, and from the portal emerged a giant chicken wearing a business suit.
Mm.
Are you Grigmux? Orca said in confusion. I thought you'd be taller. The giant chicken just looked at her in confusion. I see. You must be Grigmux.
Oh no.
You may take me. Full orchestra, she commanded. Play the sex music. The orchestra started playing the most banginest music ever. If you heard it, you would totally want to get down. In fact, I think most of the orchestra were banging during the score.
Damn.
They're banging during the score.
It's a pun.
Okay. The chicken looked at Orca and then pecked a bit at the ground. He fluttered and then started strutting around the room. The frozen Woolgons looked at each other. With difficulty, Grubbish said, "That's a giant chicken, man." And the other retorted, "I know, I don't think she knows it's not Grigmux. I want to eat it." Oh, okay.
Dude, it'd be so hard to cook a giant chicken so that it doesn't, it's not pink in the middle.
Yeah, you'd get so much salmonella.
Salmonella. That's a thing going around, too, so you better watch out.
Gross.
Stop eating the giant chickens.
Do you think, wolves eat raw chicken, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing, is eating a freshly killed thing is way different than eating a thing like humans do.
Okay.
It's when it sits around and, has to travel halfway across the country because we need chicken in places where chickens don't frequent. Right. That's when the problems arise.
Okay. All right, here we go. The portal spat out a briefcase. flying straight into the orchestra and knocking out a couple of boning tromboners.
That's the actual term, tromboner.
The briefcase bounced back and landed in Orca's lap. Is this for me? She started opening it, but the giant suited chicken started losing his shit.
Oh no!
He bucked and balked. I don't even know if "balk's a word. He bucked and what?
It totally works.
Okay.
I mean, here's the thing. It's English. If you get it, the concept out there, that's good enough.
Okay. He bucked and balked all around the room and then pecked at Orca until she threw the suitcase back to the chicken. The chicken tried catching it, but it slipped through his big, useless wings. As it hit the ground, it sprung open, and a great light shined from the ground to the ceiling. Suddenly, Orca, the Wolgons, the entire orchestra, and the Chicken Man were sucked into the suitcase.
Oh no!
Orca awoke to find herself in some strange dimension filled with thousands of chickens, floating eggs, seeds, hay, and the roomiest cages ever. Everything was just floating around. Gravity meant nothing in this dimension. It was the farm dimension, known as sort of a heaven for chickens. Heaven or haven? I don't know. Heaven. Heaven for chickens. This dimension was rarely seen by the normal races of Tarantania. The orchestra murmured among themselves, giving off that unintelligible tone of crowds talking that is annoying to some people if they don't like large crowds. Shut up, orchestra. Play some calming music. I'm stressed as all get out, Orca said. The orchestra began to play a soft melody, which totally didn't match the chicken's attitude. The business chicken was flying around eating seeds, sitting on eggs, making nests and all that.
Doing everything at once.
like a madman, like a mad chicken.
I was actually thinking of a good time to interject that it's like, wait, there's no gravity, so it's a place where chickens can fly?
Yeah.
But you brought it up already, so yay.
Okay.
I didn't ruin that joke 2 seconds before you made it.
Which you tend to do a lot.
I do that. That's the thing.
But it's cool, because that just means that, I don't know, we think alike.
One of our 3 or 4 fans, it really enjoys it.
Alright. Orca looked around puzzled. What are we doing in this stupid dimension, Lord Grigmux? The chicken looked back at her and gave her the most frowny face he could think to make. Dumb line.
I love it. Yeah, that was exactly you said before you said it's dumb. I was like, that is hilarious.
And then he started pecking at her stupid eyes.
Oh no!
Orca fought back and started ripping at his suit. The chicken decided to take off all his clothes because he thought it would fight better that way. Hey, Orca realized, you're not Grigmux, you're a giant chicken!
Oh no!
In a mad rage, Orca and the full orchestra bum-rushed the chicken and kicked the crap out of it.
Shoo.
The chicken nearly escaped and fluttered away into the blackened abyss of the chicken zone. The orchestra started playing action music, and the 2 frozen Wolgons began to wag their tails, because they totally loved it.
Nice.
The wagging of their tails triggered a second portion of the portal spell. The Wolgons created another portal. Orca saw this and decided to go through. Nothing could be as bad as this dimension, she thought. She and the whole orchestra went through the portal to the unknown, and the 2 Wolgons regained all of their movement. What do we do now? Grubbish asked. We float around and eat all the chickens we want until forever, Gruffy responded. We have great adventures. Back at the elf's house, Orca thought to herself, well, what now? That was supposed to be Grigmux, my super hot date. Orca got super depressed and spent a decent portion of the rest of the night doing really sad cartwheels while the orchestra played something in a minor key. And that is the legend of how the somersault was invented.
Somersault?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like a pun in a somersault. Is that the end?
Yeah, that's the end.
Oh man. It's like the opposite of happy cartwheels, which I love.
Yeah, somersaults. So that was my legend.
That was great. That story makes me happy on levels that I can't express. I also like that it had, I don't know, sexual elements without being just like overtly...
Right.
whatever. It was like comically, childishly, like you could make that into a cartoon and air it on the Cartoon Network.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, Adventure Time sometimes gets a little like racy.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty
like,
sure I've seen a chicken wearing a suit on Adventure Time. That's racy.
Okay.
What, doesn't that make you want a corn dong?
I want to corn dong all the chickens in suits.
Oh, I like animals wearing people clothing.
I don't know, like, I guess business suits are a thing in my world now.
And business suits have been a thing in my world since the first story.
But I mean, normally in fantasy, you don't see a guy wearing a traditionally like modern business suit.
No, I don't think you do. It's usually like if they want to be in finery and stuff, it's like robes with like gold woven into them and stuff.
Right.
I like suits. I involved them and did not explain it in any way.
That's cool.
But I have a cool out because, like, anytime anyone goes, isn't that a little anachronistic? I'll be like, yeah, well, technology was at one point, and then a section of the world got removed from all other sections of the world. And it's like, so even if someone goes, well, why is it like a traditional Dark Ages fantasy setting, and then there's guns? And it's like, well, maybe the gun makers all were on the other section. And so guns are a relic of the past that they can't recreate.
Oh, man. You think they'd be able to?
I don't know. Like, it might take forging equipment that, was only very specialized areas. I don't know. Like, if you think about it, like, other than the flintlock pistols, the one type of gun, which was the blunderbuss, was in very bad state of disrepair.
Oh.
And it's like, was it because he's a poor pirate, or was it because they can't make them anymore?
Right.
But I'm talking about my story. Let's talk about your story.
Oh.
It was fun.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Do you get like how I use the chicken man?
He was a bird man. I like.
Yeah, but
wait.
Okay.
Like, what am I missing?
Like I used like. You've seen Animaniacs, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking Chicken Boo.
I was gonna say, like, I was trying to think of where I saw a chicken in a suit before.
Well, he always is doing something. Like one time he's like in a karate, a tournament, and he's like trying to be the best karate guy ever. And then like eventually someone will be like, "Hey, you're not a karate guy. You're a giant chicken." And then everyone else will be like, "Oh, you're dumb. Stop it. Stop. Don't be mean to this guy."
Oh, so they all take it in by the chicken until the uniform gets destroyed.
Yeah, and then once the uniform gets destroyed, they always react with violence. It's like, "Hey, you are a giant chicken," and they all like freaking fight at him.
I love that concept.
And then it ends with, "You wear a disguise to look like human guys, but you're not a man. You're a chicken, boo." I don't.
That sounds amazing. There was a story I once read about a guy in a Dungeons and Dragons game that was just a bear pretending to be a human.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting he ended up becoming pretty rich, and he like hired a servant to because he couldn't speak English or whatever the common tongue is in their D&D setting. So he like hired a servant and then gave him like a magical enchanted headband that allowed the servant to hear bear as common. So like he had a translator and everything. It was great. Like, and at one point someone like he had like a huge disguise check or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And at one point someone finally saw through the disguise and was like, "That man is not a human. He's a bear." And then like it was like at a nobles rally or meeting or something, and so like that guy got in a lot of like trouble with the nobility. It never ended in violence though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so weird how like every single Chicken Boo episode ends with him getting beat up. It's super formulaic, but it's hilarious.
That's very like, I don't know, like very cartoonish, where it's like something happens and it's like, let's react with violence.
Yeah, I mean, Animaniacs is like one of the best cartoons from the 90s.
I go back and forth on it. I feel like it sounds better when it's explained to me than when I watched it. But at the same time, I enjoyed a lot of elements to it too when I watched it at the same time. Because it is a lot of random, and sometimes that bothers me, and sometimes it doesn't.
I don't think it's random.
What?
I don't think it's random.
Really?
Well, I mean, it has 5 or 6 cartoons to a thing, and they're all pretty short, but they all have their own.
Yeah, I mean, they're all very structured.
Yeah.
You got the 3 chickens that are like mobsters or whatever, and then you got like the dog that's always protecting the little girl.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love the pigeon mobsters.
I think I really loved it, but at the same time, it had 6 different things, and each one was very formulaic.
Yeah.
So it just, maybe that was what it was. I don't know.
Anyway.
I enjoyed it. And
Me too.
if you haven't seen it, you should go and find it. It's probably on Netflix. I don't know.
I think you're right.
All right. Animax is not on Netflix streaming. It's only on the DVD section. Sorry about that. Okay, so my story, which is about summoning rituals from Travis, and then also from Travis, my second prompt. Uh-oh, what was my second prompt?
Oh, come on.
Did I use my prompt?
You probably didn't. Well, I mean, Travis isn't here, so he can't even get mad about it.
He can't get mad at it. I think that's fair. Uh-oh, I feel really bad all of a sudden. I remembered I was like, this is what my story is, and that's how I'll use all the prompts. Oh, mutated animal. Yeah, no, I used
Oh,
shit
yeah.
out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember what the final prompt was. What was the one you gave Travis?
I gave him a meatsmith, which I'm really sad that he's not here to use it.
Yeah, Meat Smith.
Meatsmith
He's like a blacksmith, but with meat.
Yeah.
That
okay.
was the text Nate sent me.
Have you been to Arby's and sat in their thing? Or do you just go through the drive-thru?
I sit down and eat at Arby's often.
Okay.
This is a weird thing to bring up, but Arby's is my number one favorite fast food joint.
They have hashtags all over the place, right?
Oh no, really?
Yeah, like hashtag meat loving good, eat it, yeah. And then one of them was hashtag meatsmith, and I was like, holy shit, that is awesome.
Dude, did you search it on Twitter and see who's posting what?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, the next time I cook some ribs on the grill or something, hashtag meatsmith.
All right.
Actually, in a very related turn, I was at Walmart last night. Which is kind of a regrettable thing. I've come in to find that the Walmart, the main Walmart in the city we live in, is the most miserable place on earth.
Yeah.
Like it's got the worst parking lot to get in and out of, which is weird because it's very, very busy because it's a Walmart.
Yeah.
None of the employees care to do anything.
Yeah.
And none of the people care about themselves.
Right.
Like, it's the worst place, which is weird because it's like there are within range of me between my work and my home 4 or 5 Walmarts, and only that one's bad.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
I just assumed that all the other Walmarts were just as bad.
None of them are half as bad as that one.
I think I've only been to that one Walmart you're talking about.
It's probable because like that's the one to go if you're in this town. Or at least if you're on this side of this town. If you're on, across the river or whatever, you don't go to the one that we go to because it's so far away. Because our town is big for being a small town.
We're not in a small town.
If Reno can be the biggest little city, we can be a smaller little city. I don't think Reno's a very little city, though. Also, Reno might be smaller than us. I have no idea how big things are.
Yeah.
But anyway, like
Rockford's pretty big.
Rockford is sizable. I don't know. It's like we have a population of just under 200,000, which
I don't know.
Like feels like it's huge. It's like so many people. I don't know 200,000 people, but it's like Chicago. That has millions. That is literally an order of magnitude larger. Okay, anyway, that's neither here nor there, which is my new saying, but only for this podcast.
I guess we're under 150, or we're just above 150 million, or 150,000. Sorry.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Chicago's in like 2.7 million.
Yeah, that's more than 10 times.
Anyway,
we were talking about a thing. Oh, I was at Walmart, and they had this thing called the Perfect Bacon Bowl.
Okay.
And it was a device that allowed you to cook bacon into a bowl so that you can then put your food into it, and then boom, you got a perfect bacon bowl.
Was it literally just a bowl that you put
No,
bacon onto?
It was a wire mesh. And I was looking at it like, you know what would probably be an equally good, if not better, bacon bowl? A ceramic bowl that you just put bacon over. And my friend's like, Matt, that's a perfect bacon bowl. What you're describing is a good bacon bowl, or great, or even better bacon bowl, but that's not perfect. I was like, but I don't know if perfect's actually the best one if they just happen to slap a word on there. And he's like, Matt, they got the patent on the perfect bacon bowl. No bacon bowl's ever going to be better because it's perfect. You can't improve on perfection.
Okay.
But it got me to thinking about, like, you know, I don't want to have to cook my eating vessel before I cook my meal.
Right. You want to do it all at the same time.
Like, I want to be able to just be like, my meal's cooked, pull out a bowl or a plate, and I'm not going to cook up a bunch of bacon bowls and leave them in my cupboard. That won't work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, am I going to have... But you have to, like, even if it's like, well, I'll cook it at the same time, at the time so that the bacon bowl is cooked and cold enough that I can pick it up, but not still, you know, room temperature, because that's too cold, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, why would you want to pick up a bacon?
Yeah, also, I think...
Like, greasy as shit.
I think that's one of those things that Kentucky Fried Chicken learned with their Double Down. It was, though it's delicious to not have something that's easy to hold, it makes it not easy to hold.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Double Down is delicious.
But they still do that?
I don't think so, because of the reasons I just mentioned, is that
Okay.
I don't think it was very popular, other than with the fat demographic in which we are a part of. But, I mean, how many did you buy?
I at least 2.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, probably 2, less than 5. You know why? Because it's got 2 chicken patties, and it's like every chicken patty sandwich is like a $4 sandwich, and it had 2 chicken patties, and it was a $5 sandwich. But since it didn't have bread, it was like as filling as 1 chicken patty. Like, you know, it's just...
Yeah, but who wants to fill up on bread?
Someone that's frugal with their fast food purchases.
Okay.
Which is something to not be. This has gotten off the rails.
Yeah.
Which is not this podcast, but isn't any podcast saying, because Nate and I are very hard to keep on track.
Okay, so what was your prompt and whatnot?
My prompts were summoning ritual and a mutated animal, which I did use.
Cool.
And forgot about. It's my previous episode. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, pause this one and go back and listen to it. I don't know if you have a thing that's a problem with Travis, and you were like, oh, I'm not listening to any episode with Travis in it. Which is the only thing I could feasibly think of why you would skip an episode. There's no other reason ever.
Right. Because we're entertainment gods.
We set it to maximum and we just keep going.
Ours go up to 11.
Sweet. Well, we're only at 10 so far, but it will go up to 11 next week, guys. Or next episode. Anyway. This is a direct continuation of my previous story. My previous story was entitled Chasing the Dream. This, because the main character's name was Chase. This one is called Fleeing the Nightmare.
Nice. Very cool.
I like that. I like it. Okay. Chase dropped from the top of the wrought iron fence, falling heavily into a thick, unyielding hedge that rimmed the inside wall of the fence. Grumbling and cursing, he waded out of the chest-high foliage, leaves and sticks finding themselves in the most upsetting and peculiar nooks of his body and clothing. As soon as he was free of the probing plant, the thief set about removing the unwanted leaves, wondering where he might find plant debris next time he bathed. After pruning himself for a minute, he realized he had forgotten something. A hesitant look upwards showed Chase exactly what he didn't want to see. His grappling hook was still hooked to the top of the fence, the length of rope blowing in the light breeze on the other side. He didn't have much time to lament his losses, however, as his attention was drawn away by a snarling growl. Chase whipped around to find himself cornered by a pair of angry guard dogs. The intruder backed away slowly, palms up, offering calming phrases like easy and whoa as he did.
Whoa.
I was like, why did I write when? When? No. As he did. When his back hit the sharp shrubbery, the dogs were maybe 10 feet away and advancing slowly. Careful not to lose eye contact with his attackers, the would-be thief rummaged through his rucksack. When he found the object of his quest, he grasped firmly and yanked it free of his bag, producing a large hunk of salted beef. As he revealed the meat to the intimidating animals, the pair of creatures stopped. They growled guttural, angry sounds, their teeth bared, and the ridge of their fur along their back standing at violent attention. Chase watched, hopeful and horrified, as the ridge at the base of both necks bulged and grew, as if both creatures were spawning an additional head. The fur and skin lumps enlarged at an alarming rate, until after about half a minute, the back humps burst. Not an additional head, or simply pus and blood, which were the two most likely outcomes Chase could think of. What emerged were far worse. From the backs of both dogs came writhing masses of bulbous tentacles, the newly grown appendages jiggling and splayed about their heads like very animated lion manes. Chase tore a hunk of jerky free, hoping that the demon dogs liked meat as much as the dogs back on his father's farm. Holding his breath, he tossed the hunk of salty beef at the vicious, mutated canines. Both tentacle-wreathed heads snapped at the proffered morsel, the one that caught it growling defensively at its one-time ally. The inexperienced thief, very pleased with his discovery, held up the larger portion of food. The deadly beasts stared at the meat, tails and tentacles wagging greedily, their toothy maws slavering at the delicious sight. Chase gave the edible offering a solid throw over the guard animals' heads. Less afraid for his life, the intruding youth could appreciate how surreal it was to see the image of squid-headed dogs reaching out for a treat with their neck tentacles as it passed overhead. The beasts chased after their next meal, then began fighting over it when they reached it. Satisfied with his distraction, Chase gingerly stepped to the side of the building opposite of the hungry abominations. After a short jaunt, he found himself in front of an ivy-covered lattice that scaled the side of the mansion. He let a sigh of relief at the first thing that seemed to be going his way since arriving at his mark. Placing one foot on the overgrown decoration, the amateur climber grabbed a fistful and pulled. The sole of his boot barely lifted off the ground before he fell away from the wall with a fist full of green. With an exhausted sigh, he dropped the stolen leaves and then reassessed his makeshift ladder. For his second attempt, he aimed for a more densely grown patch. When that tore free, he took a few steps back. A few steadying breaths later, he charged the outer wall adornment, propelled into the air by a strong leap. When he contacted the wall, his arms and legs began pumping and flailing vigorously as he tried his best scampering technique. When his attempt landed him back on the dirt, he became aggravated and a bit stressed. Those demon dogs ought to have finished his food offering. Out of other ideas, and rushed for time, Chase forced his large boot into the small hole in the wooden lattice. The wood split and splintered and groaned at his leather intrusion. With a more firm footing, he pulled himself up, one hand full of vines, the other solidly full of cheap wood. The supporting structure cracked and broke as he hoisted himself bodily off the ground. Another cautious, destructive step followed, then another. Slow as the pace was, he was pleased to be making progress. That is, until he heard a duet of growling start up below him. He didn't look down. He didn't look up, for that matter. He took a sharp, deep breath, then clawed his way up. Ivy clumps and wooden debris rained down with each motion, but he quickly found himself next to the third-story window, nearly half the lattice structure still intact. Thankfully, this window was cracked open, and Chase easily slipped his gloved hand in the opening and leveraged his weight to throw open the window. Two things happened simultaneously. The window slipped open, and half of whatever held the viney lattice to the outer wall gave way. The overburdened support undermined structurally, the would-be larcenist began teetering backwards. Instinctually, a foot slipped out and hooked the open window. Throwing his weight as best he could, he clumsily flopped his body through the third-story portal before his climbing aid tore completely free and fell to the cold grass below. As he let his heart rate slow to normal levels, Part of him hoped the guard creatures had been crushed by his sloppy scaling job. It was a few moments before he realized the hallway he was in was fully lit. Figuring it should be well after midnight, this seemed a bit strange. Quietly, he snuck down the bright hall. As he traveled, he noted that no light shone under any door except the one ominously at the end of the corridor. A soft chanting sound escaped from under the door. Chase gripped the handle, carefully twisting it and slowly pushing his way into the room. Nothing that the drunken man back at the Golden Eagle Tavern had told him could have adequately prepared him for what he had walked into. Sharna was angry. Beyond words or worldly actions, she was consumed by rage. That was why she was summoning this abyssal horror. Vrusk was its name. She had read about it in her ex-husband's summoning tome. Vrusk was the perfect eldritch monstrosity for her violent revenge. All she needed to do was cast a binding spell after the abomination had crossed the void into this realm. After that, she'd unleash her pet horror on a nearby town, likely Aberon. Then, after a few thousand deaths, her bloodthirst would be sated, and she could release Vrusk back to the abyss. Everything was going better than she could have hoped for. Magic flowed freely through this library, through her. A bright pink circle glowed with arcane energies in the room's center. Floating above the summoning circle was the nearly formed Vrusk, the black sphere that would form his eyeball body, and shadowy tendrils that would soon become his appendages, solidifying from beyond the void. Her chanting rose to a throat-tearing crescendo as the moment was nearly upon her. Then the most peculiar thing happened. During her moment of triumph, her book of summoning rituals slammed shut and slipped off its pedestal. Sharna turned to see the thief who was pilfering her tome, a boy barely old enough to be called a man with dark brown hair and a dark tan. He wore a look of shock and confusion that surely matched her own. "Damn," Chase said, holding the large book he was clearly trying to steal in front of its rightful owner. He had been so sure a few seconds ago that her chanting would keep her distracted while he nabbed the book. Past him was clearly wrong. He wasn't quick enough on his feet.
I'm sorry, past him was good.
Yeah. He wasn't quick enough on his feet, but knew he should probably say something. Luckily, someone else broke the silence for him. "You dare?" it questioned. The voice was intimidatingly deep and seemed to pound its way out of Chase's head through his ears, rather than resonate around the room. Stunned and terrified, the two mortals turned to see the fully formed Vrusk. At its center was a massive eye, about 3 feet across, rimmed with skin-like shadow. Writhing from its spherical body were countless tentacles. The otherworldly being seemed to float, no visible support beneath it. Its eye body was focused on the two. "Quick!" Sharna demanded. "Hand me the—" She cut off as a black tendril wrapped around the wrist of her outstretched right arm. "No!" she screamed, her voice frighteningly shrill as the dark appendage drug her towards its source. "Your suffering will be legendary." The voice boomed in Chase's head again. He had begun to develop a headache from each word's mental pressure, but the grim, horrific scene playing out before him both stunned him and numbed him to any minor ailment he felt. Vrusk made Sharna his torturous plaything. After pulling her near, it twisted her caught arm until an unmistakable crack filled the small room. The next attack came from multiple appendages at once. One wound around her neck and lifted her off the ground. Another slithered up her robe, then tore its way out through the front of her fabric, exposing her bare flesh. Yet another tentacle constricted her left forearm, and then pulled until her elbow flesh ripped and one half of her arm separated from the other entirely. The summoner parted her lips to scream, but her captor lashed out with another limb, which filled her mouth and snaked down her throat. Chase was far beyond his element. He could do nothing to help her, but with the book, maybe Noblor could. The thief turned and ran. He made it almost to the door before a steel-strong grip seized his ankle. "You believe the All-Seeing failed to glimpse you, mortal?" Each word was a pounding mental assault. "Your ignorance could not be more complete." Chase didn't know if this thing could feel pain, but he was low on ideas and even more lacking in options. Quick as a reaction, he drew his dagger and buried it into the dark, shadowy tentacle. Whether it was hurt or simply surprised, he couldn't say. Either way, it released its grip, and he was immediately sprinting down the hallway. As he came to its end, he crossed his arms protectively over his head, then leapt into the window, glass and wood shattering outwardly as he passed through. The end?
Oh man, dude. So she was summoning this dude.
She's summoning like an abomination.
He fucked it up.
Yeah, he distracted her at the most important part of the ritual.
Oh man.
Just trying to steal a book.
Oh,
he's not a very good thief.
No. He can't even scale a wall very well.
No, he has trouble climbing a vine wall. That's a thief number 1.
Yeah.
That's actually funny. I talked to a friend about climbing up ivy because he had done it before, and he's like, it's like nearly impossible because it just can't support your weight. You have to like balance yourself out. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, I should use that. And then like I was writing it, and I was like, oh, he needs to be able to make it up. Well, it's got this lattice structure that can probably support his weight, maybe.
Cool. Yeah, that was brutal at the end, man.
Yeah, I wanted to warn you, but I didn't want to be like, yeah, this might be more brutal than some of the previous stories. But, like, I didn't want to ruin the twist ending. Or, well, it's not really a twist, but ruin the ending.
Right.
Where you're like, when is this going to get brutal? And it's like, oh, I see it coming, and now it's ruined.
Yeah. So, like, the giant monster, tentacle monster.
Yeah, like an eyeball with a bunch of limbs.
Ugh. That's gonna fuck some shit up, dude.
Yeah, dude. And it's not bound in any way, so, like, I don't, it didn't mention, like, a time limit or anything. That thing's just there.
That is a problem. Maybe the prank king.
maybe the strongest character mentioned could step in and fix this.
Yeah.
Or maybe he could throw it at someone, like, happy birthday! Oh, no!
Oh no, everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead. It's the
happy birthday.
Worst 4th birthday ever.
What if it's like a really, really old man's just like, happy 90th birthday?
Yeah, he opens up his present, Russ comes out and just like ruins him, and then the prank king's like, prank, and makes it disappear, and everyone's just like, what?
He's like, prank, and then everyone's dead, and he's like, oh, that was a bad prank.
I like, oh, there's no such thing as a bad prank to the prank king.
Alright.
Originally, my story, I was going to continue, and like, he was going to land on the ground and get attacked by the dogs again and be like totally jacked up because he jumped from a 3rd-story window.
Right.
And then he was going to like stab the dogs until he got away. It was just like, it was like a repeat of the previous exact situation.
Yeah.
It's like, this thing's attacking me, I'm just gonna stab it. And then I was like, well, then he could go back to the tavern and he could talk to Noblor, and like I could have this scene where he's like, yeah, I got your book, and it's like, why does my book look like it was eaten up by dogs? He's like, well, I was getting away. And he's like, did you get seen? He's like, kinda. And then, it's just like, I don't know, it got almost silly, and it's like, I don't know if this is going to add anything, because I'm not going to keep writing until Noblor goes back and like fights it, and then either kills it, just banishes it, or dies.
Right.
And it's like, I cut it off there because I think that was the most dramatic time to cut it off.
Yeah, I liked it.
I missed the joke from my previous one. Like, there was a joke I wanted to add in the previous story, and I was like, well, I'll just add it at the end of the next story, and then I didn't add it. And it's which is you listened to the previous episode.
Yeah.
When the gnome was all like, this is your bag of gold. Like, in my mind, he switched out all of the gold with, like, lesser denominations of money.
No.
So that it looked and sounded the same, but the guy, like, he stole a bunch of money from the guy. Also, if you realize, I didn't mention the fact that he, like, just makes a silver crown disappear, or a silver tiara disappear, and nobody talks about it. It's like, so he like outright stole one thing, and then in my mind he stole a bunch more. It's just not addressed because of Noblor's hatred for gnomes.
Right.
But that's a thing, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get to either of those things. So I'm putting them out there now, so you guys are all like, oh,
that's what happened.
That's what happened. Okay. that was the 2 stories that you're gonna get for this week. Hopefully we'll bring back Travis for his story of summoning portals and meatsmiths
Yeah.
someday. I'm interested to see what he did with Meatsmith.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah, I'm interested in getting other people. I want to say I'm in talks with, but I'm in my mind in talks with. I do a lot of I think I'm gonna do this, and then thinking about doing it, and thinking about doing it. But I'm gonna try to get another guest in before the end of season 1, and hopefully that'll happen. But not for the next episode. But speaking of the next episode, Nate, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Give us a shared prompt.
The shared prompt is bards.
Bards. Very fantasy thing. We've talked about it a bunch. I think I even mentioned it No, I didn't mention it in the previous one. Just in case you didn't use it.
Right.
So bards is the shared prompt. For you, I'm going to give the unique prompt the opposite of what I did last time. Which was last time I think was flora. So this time I'm going to say fauna.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I guess you've created one animal, the Wolgon. Give us a creature unique to your world that's not in our world.
Okay.
Fauna.
And your unique. Do I gotta give you a unique?
You gotta neek me up, brah.
I gotta neek you up. Your unique prompt is magic shoes.
Magic shoes. Okay. I can use that.
Yeah.
I like saying that because it's I gotta use that, but it's no, I can. I want to. I'm gonna rebrand that so it's good.
Okay.
That's some bumping upstairs.
Yeah, what's up?
So that's some bumping upstairs.
Yeah, they're bumping it up. It's not that cool.
It's not that cool?
It's like Kelly Clarkson or something.
That's not cool at all. We failing out of American Idol, and you're gonna be all famous.
Was she failing?
Did she win or did she take second? I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't care. Oh, Kevin does because Kevin loves the reality TV.
Yeah. You know what? Okay, so bards and what was my other one?
Fauna, creature, a unique creature to your world.
Okay, cool.
Cool. You're happy with it now?
Yeah, I'm good.
You seemed a little upset when I first gave it to you. All right.
I'm fine, man.
Okay. Well, you have anything else to say, Nate?
Nope.
I don't got much else either. Again, geekcastradio.com, Wars and M-Wire Weekly. We're a part of we've been part of M-Wire for the last 6 months. But the weekly episodes, there's M-Wire and M-Wire Weekly. They share a page, but we're not on the regular, just the weekly. And then GCR and Wars, where I'm on the last 2 and Nate's on the second to last one. As of this week, which is August 10th and back. I believe the most recent GCR and Wars was posted on the 8th or 9th. But they're pumping them out, I think. I think they're trying to do one a week on Wars, even though there hadn't been an episode in over a year. So by the time this gets all cut and edited and shot out to you guys, and you eventually get around to listening to it, because I know a lot of our viewers are 2-3 weeks later rather than day of. That's when you should go by.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Yeah. Okay.
That's the last plug I'm gonna do.
Well, make sure to like and comment.
Oh yeah, no, I can plug this show on this show.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, like and favorite. Or, I don't know if you favorite on it. No, you just like it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that junk.
All those are on YouTube.
If you're on iTunes, give a review to us. It helps out a lot.
I don't think we've had a single one, and it does help.
Yeah. If you're on Podomatic, do whatever you do on Podomatic, because I don't know what you do on Podomatic.
I don't know either.
Well, good for us.
I know you can request more episodes. That is a useless button, I think, for 90% of podcasts. I guess it's a good button if the podcast hasn't updated in a year, and he's like, I don't even think anyone listens. And then it's a year later, everyone's request. It's oh, maybe they are listening.
Yeah.
But someone like us who has a set schedule, unless we're behind, it's not really going to do much other than send me an email, and it will send me an email directly. And actually, any of those things will get me an email directly.
Yep.
And if well, so far, every comment we've gotten on YouTube, I've addressed personally in the show. I'd like to continue that for as long as the show stays unpopular. Until we get huge like everyone else on the internet, because everyone on the internet's huge but us. We'll just we'll keep it personal. And then until then, we'll then, when that happens and we make our break, like every Hollywood actor who's working as a waitress, we'll then leave you in the dust and have to respond informally with emails and comments.
Whatever, dude. All right. Facebook page. Hit us up.
We're easy to get a hold of. And then that will conclude episode 10, the Summoning Rituals episode. Tune in next week for our Bard stories. And this has been this week's Free Fantasy for your ear holes.